Greetings, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. Welcome to the Pilvi Theater. Hope you didn't get caught in the rain on the way over here, but hopefully we'll speed this up and kind of get a lot of energy put into this and keep you guys awake. Show you guys how to scale up your Amazon EC2 and hopefully save you up to 90% on the way you do that. So continuous cloud optimization is our story. That's what we do here at Spotinst. I'm going to walk through a little bit of how you guys can take advantage of that within your own environments and how, again, try to save on your cloud spend. So just a little bit about me. I've been in the technology field all over the place in the last 20 years. Started out in fiber channel storage area networks, if any of you remember that kind of stuff. But worked my way up the stack into compute, networking, eventually the cloud, both private, on-premises, hybrid, public, where we are now. And of course, with AWS changing the world, changing the way we do things in compute, they've changed also the way they do a lot of their pricing mechanisms. So a quick question here, who knows what pricing mechanism that AWS offers that can save you up to 90%? Anybody know? Spot instances, that's fantastic. You, sir, have just won yourself a pair of cloud socks, that's right. You got your head in the clouds, might as well put your feet there too, right? That's fantastic. That is correct. So the idea that we can leverage spot instances with up to a 90% discount. So just a quick level set on what those are. If you're not super familiar with them, about 45% of the cloud infrastructure as we know it today, as Amazon has their physical infrastructures built out in the data centers, it's actually sitting there idle and unused. So AWS, in order to kind of regain some of these coups, have offered those spot instances as a steep discount, up to 90% off, giving you that same compute that you would normally get as an on-demand, but giving it to you at that discount. But they do come with some caveats. They don't come with that SLA. They give you only a 2-minute notification if they are to recoup that back and provide that to perhaps an on-demand instance or something along those lines. So these make these great for cloud-native, non-critical dev test environments, but they do provide somewhat of a significant challenge for enterprises who want to run these in production environments, trying to trust the fact that you're going to get that 2-minute notification and be able to have your application up and running on a new instance as it gets replaced. So we're going to talk a little bit about those and how we can help you leverage those in your environments. So the next quick question. What AWS pricing model allows you to get up to 75% discount on your on-demand instances? Anybody? What's that? I can hear you on that one. RI instances, yes, yeah, reserved instances, yeah. You win yourself a nice pair of cloudy socks as well. Thank you for that. All right. That's right, reserved instances. So the next topic I'm going to cover really quickly, the idea that you can commit to a 1 or a 3-year idea of running a specific size and type of instances across these. You can sign up for a traditional or standard or convertible type of idea, and over the lifetime of that commitment, you're going to be getting a discount up to 75%. AWS has also offered now a new savings plan where you can make that a little bit easier. You can commit just simply to a $1 per hour commitment based on your compute or even a specific instance type of family and get up to a 72% instance discount. But neither of these types of solutions are perfectly adequate for all of your workloads. For example, some of those might be temporary, so they might not fit into those long-term commitments that you're looking at. Some of these might not, some of your workloads might not be easily predictable in terms of scalability, in terms of what scale and what number of instances you're actually going to be using. Excuse me. For both of these models, if your consumption goes above what you've committed to, you're going to be charged that regular on-demand rate. So it's going to be much more expensive for what you're working on. And our goal here is to really get you onto some of those discount plans to really save on your overall cloud spend. So in addition to that, you're only going to really to manually manage what it is that you're actually tracking in terms of your commitment versus what all your developers and your user are actually launching inside your environment in terms of on-demand instances. So you have to really make sure that your commitment is just long enough to cover your expected lifetime and your project lifetimes and try to eliminate that waste of overcommitting and not using the correct types and sizes. So spot instances, reserved instances, savings plans, they all have really great benefits in terms of these deep discounts, but they do come with an additional overhead of management and some less flexibility with regards to commitment and long-term timeframes. So this is where Spotinst comes in. So Spotinst is a platform that optimizes cloud infrastructure through the cost-aware automation. It abstracts complexity in terms of managing those RIs and the Spot instances and replacing those, and provides cloud management across virtually all of your workloads inside AWS. We achieve this through the automated use of Spot instances and also intelligence about which candidates are good for RIs and even savings plans. So a real brief look at our portfolio of products. The top here is the Cloud Analyzer. What this is going to do is actually do a full discovery of what workloads you have running in your accounts, everything from your master billing account down. It's going to really look at those workloads and identify which ones are candidates for spots, RIs, even savings plans, and really look to help automate the idea of optimizing your workloads to make sure you're taking advantage of those available discounts for you. Elastic Group is our fundamental foundational product that we were founded on several years ago. The idea that this is going to be handling all your provisioning, the automation, the intelligence around selecting the instance types to actually run those workloads. Ocean is an abstraction layer that's built on top of Elastic Group that's primarily for the idea of servicing you with the serverless experience for containerized workloads. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go in just a moment. Managed instance is all about looking at and providing a convenient way to manage stateful instances. So those instances that you need to persist, data volumes, maybe it's even its private IP address, we're going to help to automate that and have the ability to run those on Spot instances, allowing for those interruptions to take place and managing that replacement in a graceful manner. And finally, we have Eco. Eco is a managed service that is automating the management of reserved instances and savings plans. We work with you to create a strategy around covering those workloads that you have in your environments. So which ones are going to be the best candidates for Spot instances, which are going to be best for reserved instances, and we can also help manage the resale and purchase of RIs on the secondary market. So saving you even further money and giving you even shorter commitments on some cases. So how is it that we can confidently stand up here and tell you that we're going to be able to save you up to 90% on your workloads? Well, we've got over 3 billion cloud resource hours that we're managing in AWS now per month. So this is all of these customers that we have that are taking advantage and obtaining 60 to 90% of cost reduction in their workloads as we speak now. These are hundreds of millions of dollars saved yearly. Just in 2019 alone, we saved our customers over $200 million on their average cloud spend. So we do have a lot of investment into this and some inside knowledge of what's going on through all the management that we have. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about our fundamental product, again, Elastic Group, and how you can take advantage of this to gain and to scale your infrastructure, to get more compute power, and hopefully for less expense. So just a couple of minutes here on the technical pieces of this. So like I mentioned before, Elastic Group is that foundation where we are provisioning, we're automating, we're managing and scaling your infrastructure, leveraging both spots and on-demand instances, and we have the intelligence built in to know if you've already got reserved instance commitments, and we can use those before we spin up any incremental costs. For example, if you've got some vacancies already in those current commitments that you have purchased already for other projects, we'll know that they're there, we'll spin those up, and we also have intelligence built in to know if and when you do spin up additional on-demands that fit that RA in your other projects, we will release those and replace them with Spot instances. So you're gaining both discounts in your other projects as well as the ones that we're managing under there. So again, helping to really maintain your overall cloud. So in particular spot markets, when they're not available, we also have additional intelligence built in to automatically fall back to on-demand instances, maximizing the uptime and the availability of all your services. So we work very well in clustered environments, cloud native, and even legacy workloads. We do all this in an automated fashion, helping you keep your mind off of the infrastructure itself and more running into your applications and workloads themselves. We all do this for you without your need to invest extra overhead into managing it all. So one of the biggest pieces about how we actually maintain this information is predictability. So the idea that we have so much information that we're collecting about the Spot instance markets themselves, we've been doing this for over 4 years now, again, those 3 billion resource hours. We're doing machine learning and AI based on behavioral patterns of the cloud provider and how they're reacting to specific stimuli in each of those spot markets. So as a spike in demand happens in one particular market for spots, the price might go up, and eventually AWS might start triggering some interruptions to those to give those as on demand. So we're going to be monitoring all of these spot markets for current bid prices, availability, supply, demand, interruption rates, the longevity of the instances that are actually happening in those markets. This gives us the ability to actually predict 15, even 20 minutes in advance before AWS would normally make an interruption of that instance, which is significantly more than that 2-minute notification you would normally get from AWS. This gives us plenty of time to gracefully replace those instances and get those applications that are on the node that's to be terminated back into the infrastructure on new nodes and have availability for that. So we actually apply scores to each individual marketplace, or spot market, I should say, pardon me. And choosing the most appropriate market for that, where to pull from, gives us the longest longevity, the highest availability, the lowest price for those workflows and workloads that you're going to be running on your infrastructure. We manage the bid prices automatically on the back end, so you don't have to. We absolutely eliminate the idea that you're ever going to lose instances and spot instances based on bid price alone. So you're not ever going to be outbid for a particular market. We're always going to have those applications up and running. We do gracefully manage the instances, allowing us to achieve that savings wherever we can across your environments. You'll see here on one of our dashboards that in this particular account, we're able to save 83% on average on this customer's environment. So normally would have spent about $50,000 as on-demand instances for the same different variety of instance types and sizes that would be running for the same number of hours. Would have cost about $50,000, but because we had the intelligence to run and pick those out on spot instances and do the graceful replacements of those and intermix them with reserved instances, they actually only spent about $16,000. Again, for a net savings of about 83%. Our Elastic Group is directly integrated with many of the AWS services that are out there. I'm sure some of you are using at least one of these, if not many of them. So we have direct integration and automation into Kubernetes on EKS, even containerized environments in ECS, and Fargate as well, EMR for MapReduce, even the basic standard auto-scaling groups that you might have out there. We have the capabilities of directly running with those. Our SLA-backed solutions enable production-level workloads to run as spot instances and obtain these significant savings. These automations are delivered in each of these services, as you see. So we really allow you to focus on developing your software, your applications to run on these and these microservices. We allow them to be more agile in allowing you to manage the infrastructures. Doing it all, again, while saving you money. That's kind of our goal here, right? So you can grow your services, expand to other of these AWS services, and not have to worry about your cloud spend. So no matter what your industry is or what delivery model it is, we can help to virtually save you across all of your workloads. So let's take one step now over to our Ocean product. So as you guys are moving into the cloud native space, creating microservices, looking at containerizing your workloads, bringing them up into the 21st century, right? We have this new product to give you the serverless experience into managing your containerized workloads. So we're expanding that foundation of Elastic Group, all that intelligence and provisioning and managing the spot instances and RIs, taking all that to the next step. The idea that you no longer have to make any decisions about the infrastructure itself, we're going to make those for you. We're going to be looking at what we call pod-driven autoscaling. This is going to allow us to look at the containers as they're coming online, requesting to be scheduled into the cluster, look at the resources that they're asking for, CPU, RAM, maybe a specific GPU, and actually make intelligent decisions as to the infrastructure, what types of nodes to launch to help put those onto the network pretty quickly. Another specific differentiator here is that we go above and beyond just the normal traditional step scaling that you might see, where you set a threshold of 85% CPU utilization in the cluster, I'm going to add a node. Well, we do this in that pod-driven scaling. We do it at the aggregate level. So we're going to look at all of those containers that are coming online, and we're going to look at how many of those, and how many instances we need to launch, and what sizes and types to launch to house all of them at the same time. We're also going to do something that we call Tetris bin packing. That's going to allow us, as you see in this picture here, we're going to take different sizes and shapes of containers as they're defined and match those together to put them as densely as possible onto the nodes that do exist in the infrastructure, making sure that those are completely as best utilized as possible. So we have very dense utilization of each individual node that we launch in the infrastructure, thereby shrinking your overall footprint of your cluster and also running this now on Spot instances as well. So reduce the number of nodes that are required and save you money on running them as you do. We are completely and fully aware of all the node selector labels, taints tolerations, affinities, anti-affinities, etc. So we make those intelligent decisions as to which instance types and sizes to launch for those particular container types. We completely remove that overhead of you having to make the decisions of which instance types and sizes by being aware of those taints tolerations labels and where to place those in those instances. A little bit more about Ocean is it's quite flexible. So you can bring your own container and orchestration layer to us, be it maybe you're running directly in EC2 and you're deploying with COPS. So Kubernetes operations, you can deploy it yourself, bring that control plane in, we can work with it. You might be leveraging EKS to manage your master nodes themselves, or even in ECS. We have all the capabilities of managing those workflows for you. Excuse me. And again, helping to save up to 90% on that infrastructure. Those worker nodes that are running all those containers can easily be run on Spot, as we gracefully handle the replacement by bringing up a new Spot when we know that one is, we predict that one is going to be terminated. We'll bring up a new one, we'll cordon off the old one, gracefully drain the containers that are running on the old node, and make sure that it's running somewhere else in the cluster, making sure that you have the maximum savings possible in your Kubernetes cluster. But of course, that's not all. Ocean also offers deep integration and insight into what's actually going on inside your cluster. Oftentimes we have customers who don't know exactly where these pods are running, how much the resources are actually required with the number of replicas that they've spread out to with horizontal pod scaling. So they need to have a breakdown of cost show back. It's hard for them to determine which department is using which resources. So we actually track this for you. Our Ocean product will actually track all of those individual pod deployments, look at the million replicas there are, which resources are being used, and associate the costs associated with that, so that you can do charge back, show back, bill back, whatever you want to call it, back to those departments. All of these, of course, are exportable. You can save this back. All of this is available through APIs. You can have historical trending data killed back and even put into your own building services as need be. In addition to that, we're monitoring the actual resources that are being used by the individual containers that are running. So developers, as they create the definition of those containers, are guessing their best guess as to how much CPU and how many RAM it's going to require to run those pods. But we're actually doing full metrics on those pods and those containers as they're running over time. So we might see that the definition of one particular pod has 12 vCPUs and 26 megs of RAM, but over time it's really only running 3 vCPUs and about 10 gigs of RAM, or 10 megs of RAM, pardon me. So we can help to make suggestions at this point to, hey, you could redefine this particular pod and really save on the allocation of resources in your cluster, getting a further and more efficient use of the infrastructure that's already there. Lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about Eco. So what this is a managed service, again, that's helping you to create a strategy and looking at all the workloads you have across all of your accounts in AWS. We can identify which ones are going to be great for RIs, those that might be better on the savings plan, and then those that might be great on Spot instances. Our goal here is to have you running your workloads not on demand at full price, but taking advantage of some level of discount to make sure that your cloud spend is as small as possible, yet giving you the best compute resources out there as possible. By combining all these features, the savings plan, the resource reserved instances, Eco continually manages and actively implements the optimal commitment strategy that we work with you on to define, and make sure that we're constantly optimizing all the workflows that are running on your side. We do offer a completely free Eco analysis of your workloads. Come by our booth, get some more information about that. We can sign you up. Absolutely free, get an analysis and see where your cost efficiencies are lying in your infrastructure. So just to put it all together, we do a full analysis of everything that you've got running, give you feedback and visualize the data that you've got running across your entire infrastructure. We give you ability to optimize that and automate those features and functionality through all of our automations that we talked about here, hoping to alleviate the overhead and management time for your infrastructure. Thank you all for attending. Hopefully we can help you guys save some money in your cloud spend and make it more efficient. Grab that. Please come visit us, booth 2127, and please complete your survey. We do have a question. Do we work with OpenShift? Yeah, it's a great question. We do work with Red Hat OpenShift. We can work with those that as an orchestrator for containers. All right. Thank you all very kindly. Come visit me at the booth. We can talk in more depth if you have any other questions.